Want more money? Want to get into shape? Want a loving relationship? Okay, so why don't you have these things right now? The answer is habits. Your habitual behavior and thoughts are keeping you stuck right where you are. So how to get past your habits? You've got to open your routine to different thoughts and actions. When you do this, you start to get different results. It really is that simple. But most people don't stick with the changes long enough to benefit from the results. This is where the habit formula comes into place. The habit formula looks at the origin of habits and how they form. Then it takes the next step in showing you how to hang in there long enough to see the results you want. Want to learn more? Go to thehabitformulabook.com and grab your free copy. That's right, it's free. Go to thehabitformulabook.com. Find out how hundreds of other people around the world have used the habit formula to get the results they want. You don't need to be Einstein to figure this out. Go to thehabitformulabook.com today. Hey everybody, you know what time it is. It's lunchtime with the Habit Master. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Aldrich, and I help people change their bad habits. When you change your habits, you change your life. Today is Mommy Mondays. It's one of my favorite days of the week where we get to talk female to female, mom to mom, parent to parent, in different things that we can do as parents. Different ways that we can improve our children's lives so that they can carry on successful habits to their children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and completely change the future, right? So before we get started, I wanted to remind you, if you guys are following me and have been doing your holiday spending envelope, today we're up to $660, okay? This is a lot of money. All right, this is all the money that you can spend on your family members, your friends, you know, whatever your holiday list involves, so that you're not going into debt. You're not putting it on a credit card. You're saving early so that there's a purpose for this money, and the purpose is to have a great holiday without creating debt for yourself and a problem later on. Because everything just costs more money. Those great deals that you're waiting to get, doesn't really matter if you're putting it on a credit card and having to pay interest on it. So, if you're doing it, put your money in this week. We're up to $660 here if you're putting $60 a week in. So anyway, another thing, if you want to learn how to earn more money, get in better shape, get that job, do some more travel, and you want to know the means by doing it, creating a better habit is how you do it. Grab yourself a free copy. It's called The Habit Formula. Go to thehabitformulabook.com, and in it, do the exercises at the end of each chapter, and that's going to get you into a whole new mindset. It'll help you plan the actions that you're going to take, and then you're actually going to do those actions, and you'll get the results that you want. It happens every single time that I've done it. I have my own planner that I use. You can get yourself a copy if you upgrade your order. So just follow the principles in the book. It's mapped out. It's very simple, but you got to do it. Okay? So today is Mommy Monday, right? And we're going to talk about eating. We're going to talk about a very important subject that, as a parent, as an adult female especially, the older we get, we start packing on the pounds in our midsection, our thighs, where we start to, maybe our joints are starting to hurt a little bit, or we've had a previous injury from a sports injury or maybe a car accident or something, and we're not as active as we should be. Well, the eating habits that we have as adult females can then be passed on to our children. And some alarming facts that we're going to go over here in a second, is going to make you think, hey, maybe I don't want to pass these terrible habits on to my children, that I want to have my kid grow up to have, good eating habits and to be healthy, right? Health equals longevity. They can have a very long and healthy lifestyle if we put it into practice, a simple thing just as eating, okay? So I was looking up different statistics, and I went all over the place on the internet. 20% of children are considered obese in the United States. 20%. That's a huge number. 3 out of 4 kids don't get at least 60 minutes of physical activity a day. And if I know at our school they have did you get your 60 today? And I didn't quite know what that was, but what it is meaning that did your kid get their 60 minutes of exercise in today? That means that they could be outside running around. That could be they're inside and doing exercises with you, or riding a bike, or whatever it is, that they're not sitting on their butt playing the video games or watching the iPad, texting, whatever. That's not exercise. They have to physically be out there sweating. Maybe they go to dance class or tennis practice or taekwondo. It's something where they're up, they're being physically active, and they're doing a little sweat, right? When, kids love to eat all the time, right? My kid eats pretty much constantly 24/7. But he's thinner because he's very active too. So when we're thinking of our children and passing along good eating habits, we have to also think, how are they burning those calories off? Okay? The more active they are, the easier it is for them to pass it off. But as we know, the older we get as adults, the harder it is to burn those calories off. So a lot of times we have to modify the way that we're eating so that we're intaking less calories than what we're burning off, right? If we're not burning off enough, then that's when we start gaining in the weight. And it's going to be the same thing in your kids. So is your kid the fat kid in class? If so, you better take a step back and look at the eating habits that you're passing along to your poor child. Because the eating habits that they have now, it's going to get tougher and tougher for them to have better eating habits when that's all that they've known their entire life is the habits that you've passed on to them. So something to really think about. If your kid's the fat kid, because you're the fat person in your group of friends, take a step back and start to change those things. Really have a heart-to-heart with yourself and say, you know what? The way that I've been doing things is completely not good for my child. It's completely not good for me, and I need to wise up and do something different. So, something to think about. Children between the ages of 3 and 12 need roughly 10 to 12 hours of sleep per night. So maybe one of the reasons why your kid's so frickin' fat is because they're frickin' tired. They're watching too much TV. They're not getting enough sleep. And then when they do wake up and they're trying to be active, their brain's not functioning, and they can't even put 2 sentences together because they're frickin' tired. They're exhausted. And then all they want to do is lay around. Make sure your child's going to bed early, and make sure that they're getting between 10 and 12 hours of sleep. And this includes the weekend. If you could keep your child on a regular schedule, even on the weekend or even during the summertime, you could be a little lackadaisy, but still, they still need that sleep. They're growing, right? On average, they grow 2.5 inches per year until they hit puberty, and then sometimes that halts, or sometimes it even skyrockets depending on your genetic makeup. But they also put on between 4 and 7 pounds a year. Okay? To do that, they need calories. They need nutrients. They need minerals and vitamins, proteins, amino acids, all of that stuff that we're made out of. They need it, and they need more of it because they're growing and putting on weight and, actually getting bigger physically. So something to think about is, what types of foods are you feeding your child? And are they getting enough sleep? Are they getting well rested? And are they eating the things that they're supposed to? And we're going to talk about 5 ways here in a sec that I kind of came up with that, me being a parent too, I struggle with this all the time because I try to eat healthier. And, my kid has a sweet tooth and he wants to eat junk once in a while. And, I have to at some point put my foot down and be more creative and say, hey, you got to eat some celery and some carrots once in a while. Eat a banana, eat something healthy. You got to be on it. You got to be persistent and you got to keep yourself going. Okay? So here, let's go ahead and start. We got 5 ways to improve your child's eating habits. Number 1, texture. Something that you got to be aware of is kids are real particular about texture. They don't necessarily like things that are slimy. Some kids want to eat crunchier things. That's why they like the cereals and the chips and the pretzels and the crackers and that, because of the texture. Also think along texture are, your senses, your salty, your sour, your sweet, that kind of thing. A lot of kids are more into the sweets, right? They love the candy, they love the cookies and the donuts and, all that stuff that aren't necessarily good for us. To try to feed into that love of sweets, that's where the fruits come in, okay? But think about texture. So, yogurt's a very healthy snack to have. Pair the yogurt, if you want to get more yogurt into your child's diet, pair the yogurt with fruit, so that'll be sweet. But give them a little crunch. Put a little bit of their favorite cereal that kind of goes with the flavor of the yogurt. Put a little bit of the cereal in there too. That's going to give them that crunchy texture that they like so much. And then they're going to be more apt to eat that, right? That's what this whole thing is about, trying to improve their eating by maybe making it a little differently, by giving them what they really like, the way that they like it. If they like something salty, be creative with how you present that food to them and put a little crunch on it, cook it a little bit so that it's not burnt. They don't like the burnt stuff, right? Where we like more crispy stuff, maybe, it's been on the grill and you get the little brown bits in that. That's more flavor to us, but as kids, they don't like that stuff. So think of a different way of, adding crunch or a texture that they like. Not, it's slimy, it's too mushy, that kind of thing. Give them the texture that they like and try to incorporate, my kid likes crunchy. So he loves carrots, but he doesn't like cooked carrots. Like that's one of my favorite vegetables is cooked carrots. He likes them not cooked, he likes them raw. So guess what? I cut them up into sticks and I give it to him. Okay, he's still getting carrots. It's even more nutrition because the nutrients aren't getting, boiled out into the water. And both of us win. He gets his carrots. I'm happy that he's getting more nutrients in his body, right? And he loves the little crunch and the snap. He loves cucumbers. I put those in his lunch, cucumbers and carrot sticks, so that he can just crunch away and he's not eating chips the whole entire time, right? So texture is very important. Kind of be aware of what your kid likes and try to incorporate the good stuff with the same type of texture or flavor or, salty or sweet or savory or whatever turns them on, right? Number 2, colors. And you might think this is goofy, but how many of your kids love green things, right? It's like when they're young, think of all the stuff, it's kind of plain white, the rice cereal that they're eating is white, the milk is kind of, brownish white, it's beigeish, Think of then all of a sudden you start giving them, Cheerios are kind of dull, and then all of a sudden it's like, ooh, they can start eating some fruit, very colorful. The cereals, very colorful, very bright. And then you've got dull green vegetables, right? Boring, right? How many of your kids love the green stuff? Not many, especially when they first start out, okay? If you're lucky, they'll eat everything and that's wonderful. But most kids don't like the green stuff. So how can you incorporate green things that are highly nutritious, high in vitamins, nutrients, and minerals into their diet, right? Well, pair them with the colorful stuff, okay? If your kid loves ranch dressing, they love the white ranch dressing, give them a little thing of ranch dressing with some, cucumber slices or, some raw broccoli or something, or even cooked broccoli. You know what I mean? If they love cheese, put cheese on everything, right? My kid loves hot sauce. So if he wants to dip something in hot sauce because he likes the flavor and it kind of, makes him want to eat it because it's a colored food, give it to him. We do cauliflower. I love cauliflower. Being on a keto diet, cauliflower is kind of my potato and rice kind of substitute. He puts hot sauce on it. You know what? I don't freaking care. As long as he's eating it, right? He's eating it, he's enjoying it, and he's getting the nutrients that it supplies. Find out what kind of colors your child is attracted to. If, and mix berries in with it, or put a side of cheese on it, or, sprinkle it with their favorite dressing, or, whatever it is, ketchup, mustard, whatever it is, complement it to something that they do like with something that may be plain, salad or a cucumber or something like that, a green bean, put something on it. My kid will eat broccoli no matter what. I'm lucky in that aspect. But when it comes to maybe raw cucumbers or something like that, he likes a little Italian dressing on it. So that's what I do. And he eats them gladly and wants more of them. So think about the texture and colors that your kids are attracted to. And every kid is different with what they like. Give them those textures, give them those colors of things. The more colorful their plate is, colors that they love to eat, they're then going to be drawn to it and they're going to eat more of it. Number 3, it's not so much with what they're eating, but you got to keep them busy. Keep them active, keep them moving until it's bedtime, right? Because we want we don't want a surplus of calories in their system. When that happens, they start getting chunky and start getting fat, okay? And we need to keep them busy, okay? We need them to be wanting food because they need it to survive, to refuel their system, to be able to grow, to be able to put on a little bit of weight as their growth dictates, but not a surplus of weight that, they've got bigger boobs than me, okay? If they've got bigger boobs than me and they're 10, that's an issue, and you really need to be focused on that, and it's your fault for them being that way. You need to be more hands-on with what your child is doing. They have to be more active, and they really have to cut down on the carbs and the sweet stuff and the empty sugars, because that's what's contributing to their weight gain. So be very conscious about, getting the 60 minutes in a day or more. If they want to go outside and play with the neighbor kids, man, go to it. Don't come home until it's dinner time, right? Or in the summertime until it's dark, right? Number 4, time intervals. So we need to space out when they're eating. My family will go to dinner, and as soon as we get home, it's probably 10 minutes away, my kid's hungry again, right? And it's like, you just ate dinner, what the heck? So I've learned, especially in the growing spurt time, which is pretty much all the time, especially for an active boy, we space out our meals. So maybe he doesn't load up as much. He doesn't eat as much at like a main meal like as I would, right? For lunch is my biggest meal of the day. And so I load up on all kinds of stuff. What I've learned with my son is he pretty much just eats on a constant basis, but a little bit at a time. What that also does is it helps his digestion and his metabolism to constantly be firing. It's like you get a little bit, you break it down. You get a little bit, you break it down. Whereas in my body, I like to put a huge amount in, and then it metabolizes and breaks it down over the course of hours and hours and hours, and then I don't eat. But being on a high-fat diet, I don't want to eat, and the fat is what the body uses. It takes more time for it to break down. But that's not the diet that my son has. My son has just a normal diet. There's some carbs, there's some proteins, there's a little bit of sugar involved, and I've just spaced it out. So I try not to mix and match too many of the same types in each meal, right? So if he has a little bit of a sweet snack at some point, then he's going to have, something that maybe some type of meat at the next meal, or some type of carb at one meal, but then some type of either protein or vegetable at another meal. And that helps the body to not get too much of one thing, right? Too much of one thing equals too many calories, and that equals a surplus, and then that builds up the fat. Okay, so time intervals, space things out, and don't expect them to eat 3 square meals a day. Most kids are going to nibble pretty much all day, and a lot of times they'll just do a little bit, a little cup of something, a little bowl of something, one little muffin or a banana or a little handful of something, and then they're done. They don't want any more. Think of how small their stomachs are. Our stomachs are about this big. Their stomachs are like this big. So obviously you're not going to be putting a whole lot of food in a little pouch, right? It's the same for kids. So you have to spread things out, and don't expect them, to eat a lot at one time. Just divide it out. And the more you do that, the more active they can be, and they can burn that stuff off a lot easier, and that's where the surplus goes away. The last thing that we can improve our child's eating habits are experiment. The food my kid eats and the food your kid eats are probably a little different, right? The way I cook, the way you cook, the way down the street restaurant cooks are a little bit different, right? Over time, you're going to learn different things that your kid likes, that is good for them, and you need to do more of that. But you also have to experiment. What are they liking today that they're not liking, that they weren't liking yesterday? Or, try to, keep them tasting. We have a rule in our house, you at least have to taste it. If you don't like it, that's fine, but you at least have to taste it. He's 8 now, and I know this past, probably over the summer, so the past few months, he's wanted to try everything and anything. We're even going to sushi again, which is like, yes, big victory for me because I love sushi, love seafood, and he's starting to get into it. He doesn't like everything, but over the past couple of months, we've noticed which ones he does like, and then my husband and I will, get an extra roll or two that we like, and then we're feeding him the things that he likes, and then that's totally exposing him to different textures, different colors, different types of food that opens up his palate. So make sure you experiment with your kid. Don't be saying, oh, I have one friend, her husband is an only child, and his parents never fed him vegetables or salads or anything like that because they thought, oh, he wouldn't like that. He's just a kid. Well, now he's in his 40s and he still doesn't eat that stuff. He's overweight. He's not necessarily the epitome of health because he eats meat and carbs, and that's it. He's not getting any type of nutrition from anything else. His palate hasn't grown at all as an adult, and he's very restricted in what he will eat. I know I don't want that for my kid. There's so many marvelous foods out there for us to be able to consume, and different types of and styles of cooking, different cultural cooking methods. I want him to experience it all because not one is the best for anyone, right? And it's an easy way to have fun with food, not get bored with food, but to also be able to get the food and the nutrition that our body needs to function and to keep us healthy and strong so that we can go and do whatever we want to do. We want to travel, we want to write books like I do, we want to have a podcast like I am right now. You have to think about these things when it comes to food. You think it's very simple. It's a very basic need. Everybody needs to eat, right? But what are you eating? What types of foods are you doing? Can you give it to them in a different way, from a different culture, with a different taste or method of preparing it? You never know what it'll open up to. They might go on and study culinary arts somewhere, in a different country and open up a restaurant, and, who knows? I mean, you could open up a whole new world to them by just doing a little experimentation. So I hope this helps you guys. Think of 5 different ways that you could improve the eating habits of your child. So let's go over them. Number 1 is texture. Find out what type of texture. Also, what types of, is it sweet? Is it salty? Is it sour? But is it crunchy? Is it mushy? Is it, slimy? You have to find the different types of textures that your child likes and try to incorporate more of the healthier stuff into those textures. My son doesn't like cooked carrots, so I don't cook them for him. He loves the crunchy carrot sticks. So what do? I like them cooked, so I cook them for me. Before that, I slice them up into sticks and give it to him. So then I know he's eating more of that stuff. Number 2 is colors. Kids love bright colors, okay? Usually the sweet stuff or the crunchier stuff is colors. Think of your green, boring lettuce, right? How can you jazz that up? By putting some carrots in it, by putting maybe some fruit in it, by having some type of vinaigrette that they like, that maybe is a little sweeter, a little balsamic or something like that, that will liven it up and attract them to eating that because they love the colors, right? Number 3, keep them busy. Okay, if they're burning off the fuel, they're going to need a refuel. Okay, if they're not burning off the fuel, but then you're force feeding them, that's when they're going to get unhealthy and be at a weight that they shouldn't be. Okay, number 4, time intervals. Space out your meals into a lot of meals. As adults, we tend to go into maybe 3 big meals and a snack or something. For kids, they constantly want to munch. They have smaller stomachs. They're always burning things off. They're always hungry. Give them their meals in small increments over time, over the day. It helps them burn things off easier and metabolize easier, and also gain the nutrients that those foods have. So make sure you spread things out so that they have a better chance of burning it off and not gaining weight. And the 5th way to improve your child's eating habits is to experiment. Don't ever not let them taste something. Let them have something. If they want to try something, and if they don't like it, that's fine. You eat it, right? Finish it up. Try different types of styles of cooking. If they like cheese, put cheese on everything so that they're at least eating nutritious broccoli or any kind of vegetable. Throw some cheese sauce on it if that's what they like, or ranch dressing. If that's what they want, and they'll eat it if they have it that way, prepare it that way. You're not doing them any harm with that. You're getting the nutrition and the vitamins that they need so that they can grow and be healthy. So I hope all of these 5 things you start implementing. You can do all of these things today, even in one meal. It's very, very easy to do. It is common sense, but remember, common sense sometimes isn't as common, especially when we're going through our routines and we're kind of just trying to survive our daily activities every day. So sometimes common sense isn't so common. And this is just what this podcast is. It's just to remind us of different ways to improve what we're doing today. So I hope this helps everybody. Remember, you can catch us on Spotify and iTunes. Look for the Lunchtime with the Habit Master shows so you don't miss any episodes. And go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Go down below and subscribe and click the little bell notification so you don't miss any videos. I have tons of videos on there and I've got a lot more coming. So go ahead and subscribe to that. So that's it for me today. Thanks for watching, and let's build good habits together.